Today's guest is on a real mission to put legal advice back into the hands of everyday people. Charles Fernandez is the creator of the Willoughby Genius, the world's largest consumer legal database, with over 750,000 entries spanning over 50 countries. While lawyers rely on Westlaw and governments hide their own databases, ordinary people have long been left without access to that level of knowledge. Until now, the Willoughby Genius changes all of that, giving people the tools to fight back when the police knock, the bailiffs harass, or officials overstep. Charles and his team are revolutionising access to the law, turning information into empowerment and helping people to become their own best advocates. Please welcome the founder of the Willoughby Genius, Charles Fernandez.
Are you concerned about all this corruption being rebranded as conspiracy theory? Well, don't you worry. Sit back and relax and join in the conversation with today's guest. Welcome to another LSB Film Productions podcast with your host, Chris Brooks.
So, a very warm welcome, Charles. It's great to have you here. Charles Fernandez, as I was saying in the intro, has come up with this fantastic idea, this app called this is where I'm going to get it wrong, the Willoughby
Genius.
That's it, Willoughby Genius. And, well, it sounds incredible. If you're like me and you wish you had the right words in your head when you needed it, when you were dealing with the police, or anyone else of authority for that matter, it would be nice if you had something that could assist you. Well, this gentleman has come up with such a thing. And so without further ado, welcome to the channel, welcome to the podcast, Charles.
Thank you very much, Chris. Basically, Willoughby Genius is, in fact, we'll come on to Willoughby Genius in a second. The way it works is everyone that's on our group are in a Discord group. Obviously, Chris will have the details for anyone to join. It's a free group. And basically what we do is we explain a process of how to navigate through the system, through the legal system. So that involves things like starting your own company, etc., which is dormant, going through and getting trademarks, EDP, securing your house so that people can't put charges on your property, and also taking control and actually owning your own vehicle. Now, in order to make sure that everyone is staying on the right side of the law, meaning that if anyone is trying to, like, the police or bailiffs or anyone like that, standing around saying, you can't be doing this, you can't be doing that, we actually have a system where you can actually check that, and that's Willoughby Genius. Now, originally, when we were doing the foundation course on Discord, what we had was little books that we'd have, one in the car, one in your home. So if anyone came to your door, you would then have a script that you could actually go through and deal with the relevant things. And it also would have what the laws are. So for argument's sake, if you're in the car and the police stopped you, you would know that under 163 of the Road Traffic Act, they can stop you. 164, they can ask for your driving license. And 165 means that if you don't have insurance, they can take your car away. All those sorts of things, and a reminder, sort of aid memoirs, to remind you about things that you need to ask them as well, because quite often there are things that you would forget when you are sort of stressed like that with a policeman standing at your window.
Absolutely.
Such as,
and make sure you've got your keys out of the ignition before they do you for driving with having the phone in your hand.
Definitely. Basically, what we'd be asking things like, what's your collar number? What is your station that you're attached to today? And what are the reasons why you stopped me? And then basically from that, we would then be able to protect you and tell you what your rights are, etc. As things developed, we found that the paper was pretty good, but then it didn't really cover a great deal, and also it wasn't informative enough, because it was only basically what someone had done the research on and passed it around, and then basically everyone sort of copied. So what we wanted to try and do is try and empower people, because there's one thing me telling you, Chris, what to say and you repeating it parrot fashion, but there's another thing totally when I'm getting you to understand exactly why you're saying things and in what's the context, etc. And what your powers are and what their perceived powers are, and where the line stops, and if they overstretch it, what can you do about it?
Yeah. See, I
And you
think
only
you've hit,
look,
I think you've hit a very valid and important point there. And that is that so many people go into this with a little bit of knowledge,
yeah.
think that they can then attack the system, or not attack the system, but try and come up
No, you are
against the
right. It is a tax
system.
system,
Yeah.
but they're
Um,
not
but
equipped
they're not doing it properly. And like you say, there's a huge difference between being able to write out an affidavit or something just because you've seen it as a
Yeah,
template or something, but unless you can actually comprehend the language that's on that document, because it's not English a lot of the time when you're getting these things, it's being able to read what you think is English when in fact it's not. And so there's
legalese.
so many, yeah, so many pitfalls where you end up going back into their jurisdiction because of the words that you're using. And so
Completely.
so it is incredibly important, I think, that you need to have a grasp of what you're dealing with before you try and tackle it.
Completely. So what we did originally was, after we sort of evolved away from the paper format, I built a small app called Willoughby. Now, when we set up Willoughby, it was okay. We had 12 crisis prompts. Now, crisis prompts is what you can call up quickly with a series of responses back. So in a point of crisis, such as being stopped by the police while driving or walking down the road or a bailiff turning up at your house, what you can say.
Mm,
Now, that was okay, but it didn't really have much memory to it, and it was very restrictive. But it was okay as a good one, sort of like to start off with.
mm.
And we had that on a site called WAP, which is a software site, and it started selling itself quite well. But it needed to uh, become more intelligent. Hence the reason why we said, okay, let's try and set up Willoughby Genius. So what we then decided was we would try and put together an app which is going to be, all singing, all dancing. But the problem was the list was getting longer and longer of the things that we wanted to put into it, and we decided that we would build three Willoughby units. Willoughby Genius, which is a crisis response, is the first one. So basically, if you're in trouble and you need information quickly, you can use that. The second one, which is nearly finished, it's called Professor Willoughby. Now, that is basically a document analyzer. So you put into Professor Willoughby a form. You can scan it, you can take a picture of it, or you can just copy and paste it into there, and it'll tell you. It runs it through. We were doing it through 5 dictionaries, but we've now taken it to 6. So it's actually going to go through 6 dictionaries, which is Black's Law, Jowett's, Halsbury, Osborne's, Oxford Quick Reference, and Bouvier.
Yeah.
And then what
Never heard of that
then
one.
happens is, once it's gone through there, each one of those 6 engines will actually strip all the text off that document and tell you 6 different versions of what it thinks it contains. Then there's a summary brain behind that. Now, the summary brain will then create a seventh version of picking up the various bits and pieces and then feeding it to Professor Willoughby, it will then give you the answer back. And then what you can then do is I'll ask it questions and it will reply using the database that we have, which I'll come back to when I'm talking about Willoughby Genius. Now, the other thing is with the Willoughby Genius and Professor Willoughby, they have their own continuous memories. So you can have a conversation with it today and come back to it next week and say, with reference to my divorce or whatever it is that you're talking to it about, it'll know what you're talking about. So you don't have to tell the whole story again. Now, where this comes into play is, let's say, for argument's sake, you are going through a divorce. You could then say to Willoughby Genius, okay, I'm going through a divorce. What are my strategies? What should I be looking at? How do I do things? And it will tell you what to do. Then say a month or so later, you get a letter back from your ex's solicitor. You can then upload the letter into Professor Willoughby and say, this is to do with my divorce. It will then be able to not only have its own memory, but go back into Willoughby Genius, find out all the information about your divorce, and then bring it back. so it can give you more information from there.
It is all very
Now,
clever, isn't it?
thank you. Willoughby Genius is by far the most powerful consumer legal database right on the planet. It's got over 750,000 legal entries, um, covering from immigration to legislation to HMRC, land registry, NHS, you name it, everything. It's got everything in there, and there is 700, there's over 750,000 entries in there. I know because I was one who uploaded them.
How long did
It's
that
get
take?
Yes, you see the grey hair. It took some time, but basically, it took a lot of time to put together because we wanted, well, first of all, I was having to build everything as we were going along. There was no um, off-the-shelf things that I could use.
Mm.
Well, certainly I didn't know it anyway. So basically, we built that, and what it also does is it goes backwards and forwards every so often and updates itself to make sure that I mean, obviously things like Black's Law's Dictionary is not going to update itself because the fourth edition was finished some time back, but other things like legislation which can change over a period of time, it goes back and makes sure that it's got the latest. And of course, when you do get the answers back from Willoughby, you can ask it, is this the latest? And it can just double check just to make sure that everything is top notch and bang on.
So
Now,
how, just out of curiosity then, because my mind boggles,
go on.
um, obviously I understand the concept. How does it differentiate from, say, ChatGPT,
ChatGPT and Claude,
legal, yeah,
no problem.
those kind of things, yeah.
Right. And this is our problem.
Yeah, well, this is what I
The-
figured. So I
no, no,
figured it needed
this,
to be
this is our
addressed.
problem.
Yeah.
Right. ChatGPT and Claude will always give you back a neutral response.
Hmm.
So they have to play it safe. Yeah, purely by the way of programming. Now, Willoughby does not play it by safe. It is an advocate for you. It is totally on your side. So what you do is you put it in a question, and it will come back with not just the legal answers, but it'll actually tell you the loopholes and the angles to help you navigate to get to safety. Now, when we put that up with the on the Watt platform where we had the original Willoughby on, Stripe did a deep dive into Stripe, the payment
Yeah,
processor.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they did a deep dive into Willoughby and they found out what it did and they banned us. And then PayPal banned us as well, right? And they put us on the forbidden business list because, as far as they're concerned, we're like the Antichrist.
Well, yeah, because
As far
you're
as
offering a way out, aren't you?
exactly.
So I have to ask then, how do people go about it? If you've been banned from all these from these like payment sites, what is your method of exchange?
Okay, the way that we do this is there's only one way you can do this, and that is basically by word of mouth. And what we do is the people in our group are quite happy to talk about this openly to other people. Um, People like yourself who are talking to awakened people, right? And who could actually use the service.
Hmm.
From there, what happens is you sign up to from our website. It's only available from the website. What happens is you pay the first month, which is done via bank transfer, and then after that you set up a standing order.
Okay.
Simple as that.
And can we divulge what the monthly
Oh, it's £25.
£25? Okay.
£25 now, if that's per person, because what happens is when you go onto it, it is solely for you. So you set one up, it'll be for you. All right. If your missus wanted one, right, she would have to have another one. The reason being is because you put in what you've done. So if you set up your own company, whether you've done the EDP, whether you've done your trademarks, etc., etc.,
Well,
so it
yeah,
gives you
yeah,
the
that's it.
answer.
Yeah.
It is
Mm.
tailored to the individual. Yeah. Now, in order, we've had a lot of customers come back to us saying, it can be a little bit expensive doing, because obviously, we're married as a couple, right? And we can't really afford £50. So what we said is not a problem at all. What we'll do is it's £25 for the first person. If you've got a partner, right, it's £12.50 for the second one. And if you've got a family of four, right, it's 50 quid for everyone.
That's not bad, is it? That's not bad.
Right. So,
I
I
mean,
mean,
when
the
you
thing is
consider
with,
how much a solicitor's letter would cost you, or
oh,
something like
it
that,
gets
you're
better than
talking
that.
like thousands. So
It gets better than
as
that.
long as what you're providing is going to give the solution that people are paying for, I don't see any problem with that at all.
Well, the thing is, with Willoughby Genius, it not only does it give you the answers, not only does it give you crisis prompts, it also creates invoices. So if a policeman wants to stop you, personally, I have a trademark in my written name and also my spoken name. If I'm stopped by the police, I can offer them if they, an opportunity if they want to contract with me. I charge £500 every time they write my name down, £100 every time they speak my name. Right, if they want to do business with me, they're entirely up to them. That if they want to do that, it's fine, and I can invoice them directly from the app. See, Willoughby is a three-headed dog. Right, there's two Rottweilers and a Labrador. The first one is obviously if someone's coming to you trying to overstep their authority or
Authority, the
perceived
jurisdiction.
authority. Yeah, you pull out the crisis prompt, which will tell you exactly what you can, can't do, and what their limits end, and what we can do. If they want to push it further, like say for argument's sake, some of the videos that we've seen where police have blatantly gone in to Section 26 abuse, and they've been basically blatantly looking at the videos, gone into subsection 4 where they've acted outside their authority to the benefit of another person to the detriment of yourself, right? Some of these things, Section 26 can carry a sentence of 14 years imprisonment,
Mm.
right? You've then got section 26, subsection 6, which is another policeman who's there and witnessing what's going on, right? And if they're not dealing with it and acting upon that, they could be done as well. Or section 7, subsection 7 of section 26, which is if someone is threatening you. So, in other words, if you interfere with that bailiff, right, trying to clamp your car, I'm going to arrest you, right? He could be done. And
Mm.
of course, when you hit him with section 26, they can be done 3 times through the IOPC as a complaint. Now, a lot of them will say, oh, I can sweep that under the carpet. You can also report them to the CPS, which is where they really get hammered, right? Because they can be put in prison for things like that. And obviously, if it has been swept under the carpet, it can be pulled back out again because the CPS are going to want to know why. And the
Mm.
third way is a civil claim, and you can do all three of them in the same way, right, simultaneously, right, when this happens. And of course, Willoughby Genius gives you all the information. It tells you what the steps are, what you need to do, how to contact the people, what the processes are. And as you said earlier about writing letters from a solicitor, etc., if you need a letter to be drafted to CPS, you just turn around and say to Willoughby, "Can you draft me a letter to report this incident to the CPS?" And it'll print it all
Mm.
out for you.
That's
And you
really
just
good.
literally copy and paste it.
That is really good. But I do now have to play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
And I now have to say, with so much what one would pertain to be such sensitive information being uploaded, like people's backgrounds and whatnot, how secure is the data that is fed into what
The
you're.
data is it is encrypted by it, which is the reason why sometimes when someone's got an overactive VPN, it is a complete pain because they can't get onto it. Because when you sign in and you ask a question, you're transmitting 3 bits of information, right? Your name, your membership number, and which country you're in. You see, because the jurisdictions that this covers is England and Wales, Scotland, Ireland, America, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand.
So your Commonwealth countries, pretty much.
Well, basically, I went for the English speaking ones.
Yeah, okay. That
Although,
makes it
having said
easier, doesn't
that,
it? That does make it easier.
having said that, I have a customer, right,
Although
who,
having said that, if you walked around Thetford,
yeah, I know. I'm not too far from you. I'm in the other side of Spalding.
oh really?
I
Okay.
I have a customer who's a South African lady who lives in Austria, and she's currently going through a legal case in America, and she asked for information to be translated into German. And Willoughby takes
Blimey.
care of all of that for you
That's good.
very easily. So, it is multi-jurisdictional as well. And that's the reason why when you send it a question, what happens is it needs to know, A, who you're talking to, B, what your membership is, so that it'll file your questions and your answers into your folder and only then it can be encrypted.
Mm.
So I don't even have access to it. And then the third part is obviously it needs to know where your jurisdiction is, not just from where you live, but also which jurisdiction you're talking about. Because for argument's sake, we could have it set up for you, Chris, in England. But let's say, for argument's sake, next week you're going to Australia. All you then do is reset the jurisdiction to Australia. So when you're in Australia, you've got access to the laws over there.
Okay. So it's a bit
Now,
like sat nav where you're programming in the maps for the other country,
yeah,
but instead of
exactly.
the maps, it's
You're,
laws
you're doing
and yeah.
the legal database, and the thing
Mm.
is, it's pulling all the time from the legal file, so it's always up to date, right? But I say always up to date, as up to date as it can be, because sometimes they bring laws out and they just don't update them. In the correct manner. But we can be as up to date as we can. But by checking, and if there is, say for argument's sake, you're having a draft being done for a particular document or whatever that you have to send off to,
Hmm.
like for argument's sake, when you wanted to deal with the a company's house, etc., you were drafting out some very long legal documents or whatever. What you could do is you can get it to draft it and it'll do that, and then you can say to it, could you just double check to make sure that everything is now up to date, etc., and correct, and it'll do that. And if there are any changes because of any bits of information that hasn't been updated correctly, it'll do that, right, and make the thing so that it comes back completely fine. Now, that is, I've mentioned about Willoughby Genius and I've mentioned about Professor Willoughby. The third one, which is going to be out in probably first quarter of 26, that is called Willoughby Esquire. Now, Willoughby Esquire is a basically it's like a barrister in your pocket.
Hmm.
What it will do is it will give you strategies, it'll give you all the case law and everything's like that, basically. So if you're going into, let's say for argument's sake, you're going into that situation with a divorce, right? And you Willoughby Professor has given you all the answers about the paperwork, and Willoughby Genius gave you the strategies earlier and how to go things. But when it's going to say court, you need a barrister. Now, obviously, you can't pull an app out, and obviously, you will need to have a legal team anyway. But Willoughby Squire will be able to tell you whether your legal team are acting on your behalf, because unlike the judge, your defence, and the prosecution, right, Willoughby Esquire doesn't play on their team because it's not sworn an oath to the bar. It has allegiance only
Well,
to its user.
surely that's answered the question. They never play for your side because it's always about the money.
Exactly. But the thing is, Willoughby Genius and the Willoughby system itself is designed to be solely on your side, and it's loyal only to its user, not to another.
Like if you're in a situation, how quick is it? How interactively quick is it?
Okay, let's say for argument's sake, you've been pulled over by the police or stopped as you're walking down the road. You can go into the page where the crisis prompts are, and just by touching it, it'll send the request off. Normally, crisis prompts are returned to you in 10 to 15 seconds. So it's
Okay.
quite quick, and that's
Mm.
tailored. Tailored. So basically, if you've told it that you have, you see, when you go into Willoughby Genius, and first of all, you have to put in, go through the questionnaire, etc. So you tell it what you've done. So whether or not you've done trademarks, whether you set up your own company, so on and so forth. So it knows exactly whether you're actually in the UK limited or whether you're in England, right? So it's pulling the British thing because we're not in that.
British slave.
Exactly. So it finds out exactly where you are, and also the other questionnaire is your tariff questionnaire. So it tells them, if you want to try and abuse my rights, not a problem at all. Here's my prices. Right. If you want to do that, that's fine. And it quotes that within your response. Now, if you are asking it a question, which is the third head of the dog, as I said, you've got the two heads, which are Rottweilers. The
And the
third head
Labrador.
is the Labrador. Now, originally we had three Rottweilers, but we realised that a Rottweiler wasn't a good teacher, whereas the Labrador has a little bit more patience.
Labradors are probably my favourite dog.
They've certainly got the nicest temperament I found, anyway.
Yeah, Labrador, Golden Retriever. Yeah, gorgeous.
Basically, with the Labrador, what it does is actually, when you go through that sort of head, that's when it's in educational mode. So you could be sitting at home, for argument's sake, and you just want to know more about the Road Traffic Act. You want to find out more about how are there any angles to get out of paying council tax? How can you reduce your tax bills, etc., etc., etc. You can ask it questions. Now, depending on how you ask the question, how detailed the question is, will determine how long it's going to come back to you. What we found was that in the early days, that a lot of people were putting in this long ass bit of text with a little question at the end, which meant that everything was going through the 750,000 legal entries, which was taking it forever.
Yeah.
So what we done is we decided to put in something called an ingest method, which means that when you want to tell it a story basically so that you can pull the answers from it. So basically, if you were to put in, say, let's say for example, you were stopped driving down the high road outside the KFC in Thetford High Street. You would put down there, first of all, a reference key. So the reference key would be how you can retrieve that information. So if you said, my stop in Thetford High Street, comma, data ingest, then colon, so full stop on top of full stop,
Hmm.
and then you could then cut and paste and put in like a page and a half of text or 2 pages or however many pages you need to put in there, telling it, don't ask it questions, but you can then save for it in
This
that
is
information.
backstory
Yeah,
kind of
completely.
thing. Yeah.
Last Thursday at 2 p.m., I was driving down Thetford High Road and I was stopped just outside KFC by PC Willis from blah 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 station. He then said this, said that, etc. etc. I then replied this, I replied that, etc. My car is XYZ. I'm fully insured. Give it all the information that you can. Then once you finish that, you then hit. Obviously, you've done the data ingestion. You just hit enter, and the other day I put in 9 sides of A4, ingested that, and it did it in under 10 seconds.
Blimey. Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not something that's now, but perhaps for the future. But that's a lot of writing. Have you got like a voice prompt where you can talk the
Well, you can
scenario?
actually, yeah. But I mean,
Okay.
you can enter details, right? Either by typing it or by using the microphone.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because a lot of people go, fucking hell, 9 pages.
No. Well, the thing is, I mean, what you can do is if you go into Word and you want to dictate, right, it'll tell it all there. But I mean, going into Willoughby, right, you're literally just copying and pasting, right. But I mean, even if you just want to, let's say for argument's sake, your eyesight's not clever, right, and obviously trying to pull out the information on your phone. Right in front of a policeman, you could be nervous and you could be typing all
I
sorts
was
of
to say, I
nonsense.
panic.
Yeah,
Oh, I can't even find the app that I'm looking for. I'm going,
yeah.
"Wait, is it?"
All you need to do is literally hit the microphone button and speak it. It was designed for that because we have customers who are in their 80s, right?
Okay, that's
And
really good then.
so it became easier for them doing it that way. Now,
Mm.
once you've uploaded all that information, all you then do is you ask a question using the reference key as well. So if your reference key was my stop at in Thetford High Road or car stop in Thetford High Road, you say, "Hi Willoughby, with regards to my car stop in Thetford High Road, how can I prosecute the police officer? Or what are my chances of
Mm.
getting this or what the other?" What it's then going to do is it's going to pull the information, the question, that it's going to take it into the brain. It's then going to take a look for the reference key, look to that story where you put all that information, find out what the context is of what your question is, right? And then it's going to take it through the 750,000 legal entries, so that it's looking for that context, and instead that means your answer is going to be a lot more accurate. Whereas if you just gave everything in one go, it's going to be looking up KFC, it's going to be looking up the high road, it's going to be looking up PC Willis or all the other bits and pieces, rather than the question that you really wanted.
Yeah.
Now, when you do that, it could take three, four, depending on how in depth the question is and what the how complicated the situation is. It could take 5, 6 minutes, right, to come back with the answer. It'll come back still processing and what have you. But then when it comes back, you're going to be looking at 2, 3 pages
Yeah.
worth of information because it's not only going to tell you what the legal situation is, it's also going to tell you what your loopholes are, how to get out of this, right? What the processes are, and also, if you are looking to try and prosecute someone or you want to take things further or what have you, it's then going to be providing you with addresses and email addresses on how to contact them and take it further.
Happy days. All
And
good.
that's basically what
Has
Willoughby.
it figured out a loophole yet around? Because I know lots of people are going to be interested in this. Are people, sorry, have you found a loophole about sending your ID to company's house as a director of a dormant
Yes,
company? Come
yes.
on then.
In fact, not only that, we also have a system called when you go onto the crisis prompts, there are the boxes or the categories are all set in alphabetically. Say, one's about your vehicle, one is about your council and utilities, one's about schooling, one's about the family protection, one's about the police, etc. But the first three boxes are the first one is emergency, box number one. That's where you go to because if you don't want to be looking around for, I've been stopped in the street by the police. You
Mm.
want it there, right in front of you. So that's the first box. The second box is called nuclear prompts. Now, the reason why they're called nuclear prompts is because
They're
when
so
you unleash a
powerful.
nuclear prompt,
Mm.
right, there is no defense. Now, basically, what we found is with the ID thing with the crisis through the crisis prompts, there are ways that you can actually use it, but I've actually gone down the road of actually seeing that the by the government creating making you create a verified thing. What they've done is they've created another entity for you.
Is this
Now, at the moment,
the gov login, gov, whatever
yeah,
it
no, yeah,
is?
but what I mean is you've actually now created an entity. So if someone came to your house at the moment, right, I could say, okay, they're looking for Charles Fernandez. Which one are you looking for? Is it Charles Fernandez Limited? Right, which is my company, right, which is dormant. It can't be that. Okay, is it the EDP one? It can't be because that's verified. Sorry, that one is EDP, which means that it's verified that it's an individual, right? Which means if you're a company, you cannot be doing business with an individual. Can't be that one. So it must be one of the other two Charles Fernandez's, which are trademarks. Now, before you go any further, have you actually made any sort of arrangements to license a trademark? No? Okay, you need to go away and arrange permission to deal with a licensed trademark before you can even take any step further. Now, on top of that, if the government have asked you to do the verified one, that's now a fifth entity. Now, remember, if you're in trouble with these people, they're the ones who've got to prove which one they're dealing with.
Mm.
So I like I'm going down the road of causing them maximum confusion and problems for them, which is the reason why we've said, I think it's in a good way, right? I'm not saying that the idea about having the banks and all that verification, that's a different story, what Keir Starmer's doing at the moment.
Mm.
The other thing with regards to the ID for Company's House, to be quite honest, that information's pretty much out there for most people anyway. Such as if they've got a driving license and a passport, they already know who you are. They already know what your face is because it's on your driving license and it's on your passport.
So why do they want
So,
it verified then? Because surely they would have had all that when you opened up the company.
well, the thing is, they have that anyway because everything's all pretty much interlinked anyway. Basically, it is a soft step to trying to get to the end goal which is there is one ID, and that's you'll have a chip, right? Which means that you wave your hand over something, and like an Oyster card or a debit card, with NFC transmission, it means that you can pay for things. And of course, everyone in the UK is going to be up in arms and saying, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that, until they find that the chip is made by Apple, in which case they'll be queuing up overnight, right, waiting for it to try and be the first ones to get
Yeah,
it.
on good old Black
Right.
Friday, white ones available.
Yeah. But
Mm.
I mean, it is the things like that. And the other one is also, another nuclear prompt out there is council tax. And we've had some interesting. I don't want to cause problems, so I won't say too much about these things because they can be a bit controversial. I don't want to upset any of your customers, not customers, your viewers, etc. But the
It's never my viewers that get upset. It's YouTube.
okay, well, put it this way: what it's done is it's gives you a very decent platform to be able to defend yourself and try and fight against the system. Also, the other thing is on every response that you get back from Willoughby, it doesn't just tell you, it thinks, you see, because Claude and ChatGPT will turn around and say to you, right, these are your options, Chris. This is what you can do. Willoughby turns around and says to you, here's how to win,
Mm.
right? Because it's giving you the loopholes. Now, the other way of how to prove that it is actually accurate and telling you the truth, right? And also what sort of power it has is because wherever possible, it will actually give you case law. Now, when we're talking about things like council tax, it is bringing in the case law from the Wayne Layton case,
Hmm.
and it's showing you all what the points are that have been clarified from there and are undisputed in case law with the courts. So if you do this, this, and this, how you can proceed. I'll leave the rest of that to the imagination, but obviously it helps you tremendously. And needless to say, there's been quite a few of our people in our group who have been helped by that dramatically.
No,
I'll say no more on that issue.
no, that's good. So just quickly back to the company's housing then. So
Sure.
have you submitted ID?
I haven't as of yet because a couple of reasons.
When
I
is
have
the
my
deadline?
P18. Well, no, my deadline is March next year because my that's when my next confirmation statement's due.
Oh, okay. Because I did
Right,
mine
it's only
back in.
for people who haven't done a confirmation statement yet that have to ID by the 18th of March, 18th of November. Now,
So I
my
did my
PS,
confirmation back in April.
so you don't have to do anything by the 18th of November. You have your deadline is April. You can
Good,
still stay.
and that means I can hound them for longer.
Well, no, it's better than that because the thing is, if you remember when it came to uh, the COVID issue many years back, the NHS said that if you don't have the jab, you can't work to us by a certain time. And lots of people were scared into doing it, and some people stayed steadfast and said, "No, we're not doing that." And then what happens is at the 11th hour, they then said, "Okay, well, we can't do
Backtracked.
this," and they backtracked. Now, there's going to be probably a lot of situations. Um, I think they're not still 100% on this, right? Because a lot of their stuff doesn't work, right? Because
By
the
design, I
PSCs,
imagine.
yeah, yeah, and because of that, I think whether or not they actually do switch over on the 18th, I don't know, right? And it'll be interesting to see. But I haven't done it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm still fighting to get my passport back because there was an issue with my EDP name on that. Now, that's enrolled deed poll for those who don't know what an EDP is.
Yeah, not the
Now,
newspaper.
yeah. The my PSC personal significant control in the in company's house is my EDP name, but the director's name is my old implied name, which is
Okay.
trademarked. So I'm going to try and do it twice. Use my passport for the EDP one. Use the driving license for the director's one. And before people say, how can you have two identities? Quite easily. If I've got my driving license and a bank account which states that and I've got the trademark as well, proving that I own the company of Charles Fernandez Limited and the trademark on that, right? That's proof that I have that company, right? And I own that name. If you're asking about the EDP one, well, I've got a letter from the Royal Courts of Justice, which says that that is my name, and also have a passport, and also have a
Mm.
separate bank account in that name also. So I've got IDs for both. It's like you having two cars. If you got a blue car today, and tomorrow, Chris, you went and bought a red car, no one can turn around and say to you, you can only have one car. You can only drive the
No.
red car now. If you own
Well,
them both,
at
you
the
can
end of
drive
the day,
either.
my friend, at the end of the day,
You don't answer them
if
anyway.
weird wokey weird person down the road can one day identify as Martha and then the next day is an Arthur, then I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure that constitutes as a double identity too, doesn't it?
completely.
And they're protected.
Yeah. The thing is, all those funny laws which were protection and stuff like that, where we scoffed at them before, because we thought they were ridiculous, they actually come and help us actually, because the European articles and stuff like that, by having your name correctly spelt, for argument's sake, by being able to correct your name with the EDP, means that I'm unable to get charges put on my property unless the land registry asks me and I accept them. You see, at the moment, if you
How
haven't
much?
done this,
See, I have done the dormant company,
yeah,
which I'm probably going to give up because I do nothing with it. And much
that's the
like
idea of
this,
everything dormant.
yeah,
Shouldn't.
and much like this ID, and this time it's that, and next time it'll be this, and you know, I don't want to constantly be having to jump through hoops when they say jump. I don't want to have to say how high. And the more
Okay,
people that are on this, since Hornseywood and that, lots of people have flocked to do this, so the prices have gone up and up and up and up and up. And what was 30 quid is now 100 quid, and you know, I just can't be dealing with it.
I understand. However, when you take your company, what
Mm.
you're doing is you're separating yourself and extracting yourself from the United Kingdom Limited, and you're setting up your company in England, which basically means HMRC is obviously in England, whereas the Inland Revenue is United Kingdom.
But it's still
Now, we
public though, isn't it?
yes, but the thing is, if you understand that HMRC is in England and the Inland Revenue is in the United Kingdom Limited, when you start looking into that, you can actually work out what I'm saying there.
Mm.
All right. But the other benefits to it are tremendous things. You can actually start to live in the private and then only interact in the legal as and when you decide that suits you. So, for argument's sake, I'm sitting at home, I'm living in the private. If I want to go out in my car and drive somewhere, I then I'm using my driving license. And I'm not going to get into the argument about traveling versus driving, but I'm using my driving license. If I'm driving to something to do with work or whatever what it
Mm.
means is that I'm stepping into legal. I go into Tesco's and I decide that I pay with a bank card, which means I'm then using the legal side. But then obviously when I'm put my stuff in, get home, etc. I'm back in the private again. I'm
Hmm.
choosing which side, when I'm actually choosing to go into legal and when not to, as opposed to the other people who are always just sat in the legal and don't have any other options. So it gives me a lot more flexibility with that side. When it comes to the EDP, one of the benefits of that is number one, I'm able to have my correct name written in the NHS.
Hmm.
So I'm in upper and lower case in the NHS.
You
Um,
sorry, you know what you've been talking about just back
yeah,
then? That's also, and I'm only mentioning that now because recorded a video on it today. And it's cognizance. That's what
yeah,
you're talking. It's about making
being aware of who you are.
aware, yeah, aware
Yeah,
of what of who you are in the system that you're playing.
yeah, yeah, completely.
Yeah. So
And
I
that's
just
the
wanted to
reason why we
break
have
that,
the
yeah,
Discord
because
group to help people.
that word doesn't get used that much anymore. But yeah, cognizance,
Yeah,
to see beyond is literally what it means, to see beyond.
completely.
Yeah.
The
Sorry, carry on.
basically, as opposed to just having the app, we have the Discord group where we have people come in and they don't know anything about this. And what we're doing is we're teaching them because I've created videos and done all sorts. I mean, there's hundreds of hours of material in there. As I said, I mean, we came from Hornseywood, Carl and Alex, two great guys.
Hmm.
And I've learned bags from Carl and Alex, right? And what we've done is we've adapted it and taken it a stage further so that we have systems where people can follow and do each step individually,
Mm.
right? So that things
Almost like
that they know.
modules.
Yeah, completely.
Modules.
And each page on the Discord is related to that thing. So it could be about setting up your car, so it's properly done in your name, setting up your company, doing your trademarks, etc. And we have champions on each page who are specialists in this, and everyone tries to help each other. Because the rulings that we have in our Discord group, I've helped people in the early days, and all that I ask in return is
Pay
that
it
you
on,
help the
pay it
next man.
forward.
Yeah, you help the next man, and everyone does that. There's no bitching, there's no fighting in the groups or anything like that. It's peaceful. We've even got pages where people are doing their own things. Like there's a girl there, Narelle, who sells her soaps. Other people who have got holistic healers and stuff. We've even put together a page for them so they can promote their goods, right? And
It's good.
it's all like it's like a family, and we all try and help and support each other. And the thing is, you're now no longer alone, because the thing is, when you go into these ideas and start to wake up, you start to feel, oh my God, it's me versus the
Mm.
big system. I'm
See,
on
I
my
have to
own.
say, and this is where I am very, very lucky, and I 100% agree with what you've just said. If I didn't have my friends who also happen to be very awake and who
Yeah,
are tackling water companies, council tax, police, if I didn't have that, if I was just Jack Normal and I had just Jack Normal friends, it would be so
it's an uphill
lonely
battle.
because you've got no one to talk to because everyone would think,
Yeah,
what the fuck are you talking about?
yeah, it's an uphill
Yeah, so
battle.
I
And
am lucky there.
yeah, what we've got here is a group of nearly 600. We only started this in March, and the Discord group, and we got nearly 600 people already. And it is basically you plus
Hopefully we can bump that
590
up.
odd, yeah, 590 odd people, right, behind you helping you. And if someone's saying, they'll come on with a letter, oh, I've got a letter from a utility company. How do I deal with this? Right now, before I was then having to do all the letters, typing it back and answering them, etc. These days, there's been like 4 or 5 responses to them before I've even seen it
Mm,
because people are jumping on. They want to help each other because when they joined and their knowledge was low, right? Since they've learnt stuff, they want to pass it on and help the next man. And
mm,
that's why the our Discord group is so precious because it helps everyone. And then of course, obviously the Willoughby side basically is there to help you, give you the legal aspect to it, and also to make sure that you are on the straight and narrow, right? And you can actually feel confident in yourself and have the confidence that
mm,
what you're doing, they're not going to come and take away your television or take away your car and stuff like that because you've got these things in front of you and you've got the barriers that you put up that are pretty much impenetrable and they can't get into there,
the pen is
right? So
mightier
that's the
than the
reason why we have
sword.
that. Yeah, yeah. And basically how we've done this now, we built up a decent group, and the whole system itself, we get people coming in saying we've had bailiffs come round, and the systems that we put in place, right, it's actually hysterical because when you see some of the actions, there's a lady who, because we say that, you need to have your company and then outside the front of your house have your company plaque outside which says this is the registered office of, right, and then the company name, and that then gives you enhanced protection on your property.
Mhm. Can I ask you a
And
question about that though?
boom, yeah,
Because then that puts you in the jurisdiction of paying council tax, because then you've openly admitted that your
no,
property's
no, it doesn't.
commercial.
No, No, that's not commercial. Commercial is different. Having a place registered as an office is not commercial. That's a different thing.
But to register, you're giving away, aren't you?
No. You're saying that this is your registered address for the office. That's not commercial at all. There's a difference, right? And what it means is that 8 out of 10 bailiffs will see the sign and walk away. In fact, you've got a very funny video where it was caught on a Ring door cam from a couple of weeks ago, where a guy comes walking down the path, all confident and all that. He presses the bell and then reads it, and you can see him. He must be short-sighted or something. He goes, "Oh shit!" and starts legging it up the path, and he's there, and he goes, "Oh, sorry, I've got the wrong door." Right, and now if he had arrived at number 12, say for argument's sake, and he needed either 10 or number 14, he would have walked down the other path. But after he saw that sign, he jumped in his car and drove off after him, saying, "Sorry, wrong door." But it was very, very funny watching it, right? Because our systems do work. Personally, I've had people from the Cedar Group turn up at my door and try and clamp the car for a ULEZ charge. And basically, they came round to me and he said to me, "Oh, we're going to have the car then." I said, "You ain't." Right. I said, because because I've split the keeper and the owner of the car, it means that people can't do that. Right. So he then had to, when I proved to him that the car, the debt was with the keeper, which is a dormant company, and the owner is someone else, right? He couldn't do anything, and he basically had to unclamp the car and do the walk of shame, and that was rather nice. Then 2 weeks later, his mate came back, right, and he tried it as well, and he went away, doing the walk of shame as well, right? And it was very, very satisfying. And we've had other people in our group as well, because we have a series of steps, by making sure that we've done these steps correctly and we've dotted the i's and crossed the t's. We're taking back what's ours. My house. I've changed my on the deeds on the proprietorship register on the house deeds. Normally it's written all uppercase, which means that you are a registered company, which means as using a unilateral contract or unilateral agreement, which means unilateral means one signature, bilateral means two. So I can actually go and apply, Chris, to the Northampton court and say, "Chris owes me £5,000. I would like you to put a charge on his property." They will then say, "Okay, you need to pay this amount, fill in this form." I fill it in, bang, within a few weeks' time. Unless you've got an RX1 to know that when a charge has been put on your property, you won't even know about it. The charge will just be allocated to your property, and you won't know anything about it until you suddenly start getting, turned down for credit and stuff, right? And then what happens is, I don't have to prove anything to get the charge put on.
You don't have to be giving people ideas either, buddy.
Well, the thing is, learn our system. They can't do it.
I know.
Because what happens is this. What happens is once you've done once you've made sure that you've got your EDP name on the deeds correctly, you'll end up in a situation like what I had a few months ago, where the land registry wrote to me and said, "Anglian Water would like to put a charge on your property. Would you like to accept it?" So I then went into Willoughby and said, "Well, obviously no, but I wanted to give the correct answers." So I asked Willoughby, "Can you draft me a letter so that I don't have to accept this charge on the property, giving the correct reasons?" So Willoughby came back under subsection this and section that, etc., of the land registry. It says that all information that's put in on a record needs to be accurate, and including charges. Now, because my name is written in the EDP name, I've been accepted legally as an individual, not a company. Now, companies can't do business with individuals unless you decide to agree to it. So because I didn't agree to it, they couldn't put the charge on the property. And that's what I'm saying. You're able to do things like that when you realise what you're doing, right? And, all we've done is we've taken the teachings from Carl and Alex, etc. We've just taken it a stage further, right? And we've gone down the road to try and protect ourselves, as best we possibly can. But by employing the likes of Willoughby, etc., what it's doing is it's giving us extra ammunition to fight, and also it's giving us the ammunition to keep us on the straight and narrow, because we're not watching a video from here, a video from there, and whether or not the information is correct, saying, oh well, that person says we can do this, therefore I can do this, right? When in actual fact you can't, because that's not the rules. Because someone got it wrong and you then say it doesn't mean it's right.
No.
Whereas with this, we're actually hitting them back with their laws, right? And also in commerce as well, right? So you're able to hit them and take them to the small claims court, as long as you keep the value under £10,000, right? And when you start, addressing things like this, right, what happens is people don't even want to engage with you, right? They since we started all of this, right, we're ready for a fight with them, but they
So
don't
what
want.
would happen with me then? Because I haven't, I've cancelled my water bill
Yeah,
because they put us on a water smart meter outside on, not on the property, but attached to like, I don't know, under the pavement. So I cancelled my because they hadn't paid, or sorry, they hadn't taken any payments from us probably for about 6 months,
yeah,
and this was all kind of in line with them changing that. And I knew that they were going to just whack us with a bill. So I cancelled the direct debit. I want proof that the water's safe because it's now running through radiation on the
yeah.
pipes. We've got really bad lime scale here, so I just want to know how safe it is. And so there's a little bit of to and fro at the moment. It's a bit stagnant. Um, where do I stand? I've got a dormant company, which is obviously my name limited,
Yeah.
but my name is still my name.
Yeah.
So I haven't
Okay, your
got the
name is still your
EDP.
name, but the thing is, what you can do is, if you, in other words, if you've still got the implied name, um, what we've done is I bought my limited company in my old implied name. What I've then done is, so I own Charles Fernandez Limited. I've also bought the trademark on that name as well, so in all caps and upper and lower case as well. Plus, I've done the EDP. So it's written in upper and lowercase in a different form. So I've got like dual identities, as it were. When it comes to what they're trying to do, the chances are, if they're trying to engage with you, they're looking to try and engage with you with your old implied name. Now, um, technically speaking, if you don't want to answer to that, you don't have to, because they're asking you, they're asking you, is this you? And you taking the envelope and opening it, you're saying, yes, you are. Right. If they're
This has
asking
all
you,
been via emails, by the way, because I did a when I did the same day I cancelled the water direct debit, I put in a DSAR
yeah, okay.
and said I'm
Well,
withholding payments until I'm happy with the DSAR.
okay. So you've done it basically like on, um, you're saying, okay, well, as
I'm happy to pay as long
providing,
as you can
yeah,
answer me this.
yeah. So once they come back with the information, etc., then you can start taking it further forwards, etc. But the way that we can do this is very simply, I would put it through into Willoughby, right, and come back with not only the correct terminology, etc., but also what the statutes are, etc., that they have to abide by as well, right? So that you're
Mm.
seen off the same hymn sheet and the correct way. And it'll give you a strategy as well, which is what it's very good at doing as well, right? So not only are you getting the strategy, but you're getting it accurately. Now they'll tell you this, they need to do this under section this and subsection this, etc., and they need to prove this, this, and this, etc. And obviously, as you put in there a conditional, agreement, I'm happy to pay so long as you can do
Mm.
etc. Right, which is kind of like a performer invoice, really. You don't need to
Mm.
perform to be able to do this, etc. Right, so by you doing stuff like that, you're protecting yourself anyway. But the thing is, having the strategy and knowing what you're doing and how you're doing things, Willoughby is perfect at doing that, because that's what he lives for. And also, it'll also tell you, are there any loopholes? And probably if you're dealing with the water, one thing it will tell you under the loopholes, I can tell you straight off, it'll say, well, under the European Human Rights Act, they cannot disconnect your water.
No. If
Right,
they
so
if they know that there's somebody living there, they can't disconnect.
exactly. So under those sorts of things, loopholes, etc., it'll tell you what they can and can't do. Right? Like say for argument's sake, it was the electric or gas, they will turn around and say they can't disconnect your, they can disconnect your electric and gas if you're not paid this, etc., etc. But if you've done this, this, and this, then obviously it's a different ball game, right? But obviously members and etc. can find out more how we deal with utilities by looking at our utilities page.
Mm.
It's all listed there, and we give instructions on how to do things with our systems. But the way that our systems work, we haven't had any issues at all. Everyone, and we've had, British Gas come down. We've had, personally, I've had Eon, I've had British Gas visit my property. I've even had Cadnet because we had some pipe work done in the street. And they've not, we've not hidden from them, right? Because we're doing things in the correct way, and the way that we've done things, we're completely protected. I mean, personally, like from like a tax point as well, from an individual, because of the way that I've done things, I've legally not paid tax in over 15 years.
No, because the money you earn is private. It's not public.
Exactly.
Is like isn't it like the self assessment
Self-assessment is
tax?
basically how much you want to grass yourself up for.
Yeah, the minute you do your first self assessment, you've uh, committed joinder.
Yeah. Well, basically, they don't do you for not paying tax, right? What they do you for is lying about your tax. So if you turn around and say that you've earned 30,000, you've earned 50, right? They can do you because you've said you've earned something and you've earned something else, right? If you don't do one at all, then they can't do you at all.
Yeah,
Right. I
I
mean,
knew somebody that used to fill their assessments in, and they would just put 0, 0, 0, 0, all money's earned in private or something like that.
well, there's no need to even do that. You just stay off their radar totally, basically. But
Mm.
when the thing is, I'm scared of them because last year I pulled some money out of a pension, right, and because I didn't have a self assessment done, right, they charged me tax on what I pulled out, right. I thought, okay, so they charged me 40%, and then this year, because last year I didn't do a self assessment, they gave it all back to me as a refund that I paid, right. So they know who I am, they know where I live, right? They know my bank account because they paid me. Right. So I'm not exactly hiding, right? So I know that what I'm doing is correct because I'm in a different sphere to what they are in, or what
Mm.
a lot of
Different
other people are in.
jurisdiction.
Yeah, and if you want to join our jurisdiction, quite welcome. Just join us, right? And we'll show you how we do it.
There you
And
go.
basically, that's basically how we do things. And the group that we've got together, it is a great family, and our systems do work. A lot of other groups, they're out there. They, can show you how you can do this with your utilities and that with your utilities. And then a month or two later, you see them on YouTube again saying, "Oh, I've got problems with this, I've got problems with that, etc." For obvious reasons, because they haven't protected themselves. If you've
Hmm.
done the correct things and you've done it in the correct manner, right? They can't put warrants out for you. If they put warrants out for them, for you, right? You providing you've done the systems correctly, you can actually prosecute them because they've acted, and they've committed perjury or perverting the courts of justice,
Mm.
right? The courts of justice because they've applied for a warrant fraudulently. Now, if the judge has got a choice of either saying, whether or not it's he's going to go down for for acting fraudulently, or whether the person who's applied for the warrant is going to go down. Obviously, the judge is going to say the person who applied for the warrant. And we haven't had any problems. I'm not just talking about myself,
Mm.
and all the things that I'm saying that we've doing here, I've done myself. Right, I'm not just saying, and
Well, this
so
is what we
many other.
need. People that have walked it and then talked it.
Yeah,
That's what we need.
I'm not saying to anyone. In fact, when we were doing the AP1 things to secure our properties, right? I was saying to people in the early stages, hang on, wait until I've done it myself, then I know exactly how to do it, and we know exactly what the process is, and then it can be duplicatable. When I did mine, it took me over a year to get the AP1s through because we
Mm,
didn't really know what we were doing. Now that we know what the system is, we get them through in about 3.5 months.
there you go. That's
Right, so
brilliant.
it actually means that your property is then safe and
Mm.
secure.
There you go, people. You've heard it. If you like what Charles has been saying, how I like what Charles has been saying, then please do check him out. Check out the group, Discord. I shall leave all the links in the video description so you can go check them all out at your own leisure. Thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed listening to your plans, your design, your work, your passion, and I wish it every success, and I hope that it benefits loads of people. But until next time, everyone, look after yourselves, take care, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.